Assalamualaikum guys, kembali kita di Sport Addict Podcast episod seterusnya bersama saya pada hari ini. Bukan dia nak kata running pun boleh. Dia all-rounder. Ini all-rounder, ini all-rounder. Bersama saya Rupert Cheng, founder of RCC Coaching, dan Tahira Najib Munisa. Aku saja sebut sama dengan dia sebab aku tak nak salah kan, sebab bukan salah apa, sebab nama dia macam belakang tu unik sikit. So what's good, Rupert?
Oh, semua bagus. Very busy sikit. Tapi sebab sekarang ni kita just came back from 70.3 Ironman Bangsen lah. So memang sibuk sikit nak come back, and then now kita nak buat expansion of our coaching, and also kita ada banyak camp coming up, the Saru camp. So memang sibuk sikit lah.
Wow. Okay, Tahira, what's good? Jangan cakap semua coaching tak?
Life is good. Work is good. Training is becoming better. Kids are good.
Kids are good. Semua okay. Okay. Macam biasa, Rupert Cheng ni kalau tahu, founder kepada RCC, dan Rupert sendiri adalah coach untuk SEA Games Malaysia. Betul tak, Rupert kan? Dan beliau merupakan 7 kali
full Ironman.
Full Ironman finisher. Engkau buat 1 dah pening, dia buat 7.
Dia tapi sekarang dia mesti harus dan wajib genapkan 10.
Patutlah badan dah macam back on track balik kan.
Baru start balik back on track.
Baju pun tu dah macam ketak-ketak. So Tahira macam biasa semua orang tahu, ambassador untuk Sparta. Lepas tu dia all-rounder lah. Macam kalau macam first kita saya jumpa dia bukan kat event running. Sebab event running susah jumpa. Sebab yang power habis awal. Saya jumpa dia kat event basikal. Sebab National Champ. National Champ kan, betul tak? National Champ Perak. Sebelum tu pun ada lagi kan?
National Champ, road racing.
Melaka pun ada kan?
Melaka.
Melaka pun ada. Memang basikal saya banyak nampak dia. Sebab dia basikal dia masuk, lari dia masuk.
Bicycle on top.
Lepas tu apa lagi? Banyaklah
Ironman.
Sparta.
Anything
Ironman.
endurance.
Anything endurance.
Endurance
CrossFit.
related. Apa boleh.
Ambassador kepada Sparta, semualah. Okey, sebelum memang orang dah tahu dah banyak you buat macam-macam lah kan, larian, swimming, basikal, endurance semua. Tapi actually what do you do for living? Ayat macam actually apa you buat sebenarnya?
So before this, macam sebelum saya start races, saya masuk outdoor punya work. Saya jadi whitewater rafting guide, masuk untuk caving everything. And then saya masuk racing, saya start race for 16 years ke And then sekarang like last year saya dah start balik masuk untuk rope access. So saya banyak buat rope access technician.
Rope access technician. Tu yang pakai baju macam tu semua. So bila tengok baju macam, dia ni kerja apa kan? Jadi saya tanya dia depan kan. So macam mana kerja tu? Macam mana dia nak sesuaikan kerja dia dengan training dia?
So I think it comes down to individual. So in terms of how much do you want something. So saya selalu balancekan, because saya maybe multitask punya person. So saya habis kerja, saya akan pergi bawa anak keluar, ataupun saya habis kerja saya training, malam bawa anak keluar. Ataupun terbalik bawa anak keluar, malam saya training. Tapi saya akan completekan everything in one day
Maknanya everyday kena ada training?
Ya.
Resist tadi macam biasa normal? Normal lah. Tadi tu masuk gym tak?
Tak pernah miss.
Tak pernah miss?
Minimum 1 session a day.
1 session ada kan?
Double, triple session, very normal.
Okay, mana kita cerita pasal training semua. Okay, this is the right person kita nak sembang hari ni. Rupert. Okay, Rupert. Sebab macam saya bukannya atlet cari telon lah, tak main pun. Paling kurang pun 2 telon je. Berenang lagi.
Berenang belum
basikal boleh, lari boleh.
Okay. Ada potential student kat sini.
Ni ada. Sebab memang ada confident. Sebab ni, Powerman I masuk. Tapi I masuk short je dulu.
Powerman ramai orang masuk.
Ramai.
Tiba-tiba budak basikal semua, aku tengok Kahib berlari.
Getting more and more. Banyak, ramai. Ramai.
Saya terus tergugat macam, jangan.
Saya pun sama tengok budak running pula. Tiba-tiba duduk kayu basikal. Macam, dah kayu basikal ni, bila tengok, road to Powerman.
Powerman is the biggest duathlon race in the whole world.
So that's why
in the whole world.
We need to letak hashtag, you only run, boring. You only cycle, boring.
Jangan, itu nanti orang yang lari kesian dia. Okay, Rupert, actually what is RCC is all about, and maybe you can share a little bit about RCC punya asas lah.
Okay, so bermula dari original story.
Yeah,
actually
original story.
before saya work as a mechanical engineer.
Mechanical
Yeah.
engineer.
Saya actually graduate as a mechanical engineer
Dekat mana tu?
dekat Uniten,
Okay.
Tenaga Nasional University. Then after that saya kerja engineering company lah, Bridgestone, the tire company.
Okay.
6 tahun. Then but after that during the work time I feel very inside this kerja in corporate very stressful lah. So I really stressed by doing ni lah endurance sport, multi sport. And after that dah buat for a couple of years I really have a lot of passion in it. And then I start to get better and better lah the result kan. So ramai kawan tanya, macam mana we want to improve. So I start to teach lah. But tak ada charges pun, just macam start to
Rugi
ajar
lah,
kawan.
tak kena awal. Kau tak ada charges kan?
Memang tak ada charges mula-mula. But then after coaching that time also is not very knowledgeable lah. So kita just based on experience je. So after that, more and more people come in and then kita start to coach lah dekat curi-curi coach lah dulu. Kita don't have official because the problem with a lot of coaching, very hard to find a swimming pool.
Oh ya, betul.
Betul tak? Sebab most of it dah ada company dia orang dah capture dah. So kita mencuri-curi coach dekat Subang Lake and all. Ada swimming pool lah, curi-curi coaching. After that, then from there one of my friends who works for DSA, they invite me to masuk and then from there on we start coaching in DSA pool. By then sebab it's a very big pool, so kita have to make it a registered company and then from there become proper coaching lah.
Okay.
So then from there at first sikit je, so slowly grow and also our knowledge and coaching getting better and better. Then after that from there kita ada a few talented athletes, kita hantar lah pergi selection races from 2019. Then after that suddenly we won quite a number of the races. Then from there on, diorang minta lah I be part of the SEA Games coach for the for the SEA Games lah.
You start this business is what year?
Officially 2018 kita move into DSA lah dekat Bukit Jalil. Official.
2019.
But before that kita dah start coaching maybe 2014, 2015 lah.
2014 lah. So you start dengan berapa ramai coach? For information, you certified coach, right?
Yes.
You ambil masa during you kerja dekat engineering mereka?
Tak. After that just I think I was certified around 2018 lah baru saya
Certified 2018. What kind
Ah.
of certification yang you ambil tu?
So at that time I ambil with we call it Malaysia Triathlon Association. Diorang ada certification sendiri. But after that saya ambil juga dengan ISN, Sport Science Level 1, 2, 3. Lepas tu dengan ni World Triathlon.
Oh, you ada ambil dengan dia punya
Ada World Triathlon Association. So saya pun level 2. So in Malaysia actually is highest already level 2. Dan saya pun ada Ironman certified jugalah. So adalah quite a number of certification that I
sebab
ambil.
itu kira macam you punya sains sukan 1, 2, 3. Lepas tu sukan spesifik, right?
Sukan
Ironman,
spesifik.
You ambil 2.
But this sukan spesifik is not Malaysia punya. Sukan spesifik is from World Triathlon. Saya ambil dekat Korea.
Yeah.
for that
Macam
one.
basikal ada juga dia ambil UCI.
Yes, sama. Yes, exactly.
I pun I dah buat dah sains sukan sains sukan tahap 1 dan 2.
Tiga pun lagi.
This year.
Tiga kena buat projek tu.
Yes, bulan
Yes.
5. Tapi I tengah fikir lagi nak ambil sukan spesifik tu apa.
Dia kena thesis. Dia ada kena buat thesis tu.
Yes,
So I have to
so-
present, go to stage and present.
Betul.
It's
Sebab-
stage ni memang susah sikit.
Sebab tu bila dia kata certified coach tu, kalau dia kata dia sains sukan tahap 3, korang kena salute. Memang susah. I tahu. Sebab some of the coach pun level 3 tu biasanya yang memang akan ada juga spesifik punya.
Yes,
Maknanya
yes, yes.
Spesifik basikal ada, dia akan ambil.
Kena ada specific.
And I would like to say kat situ, bukan semua coach certificated. Maksudnya dia ada certification.
Yes, tu paling penting. Betul.
So
Not many.
Not many. So
Because
ramai
nowadays banyak YouTubers.
Yeah.
Belajar from YouTube.
I think knowledge and experience
Yes.
is a very important thing if you want to coach somebody. Because you tak boleh simply like coach based on baca.
Yeah, tak boleh on theory. On practical is very important. So, but also for Ironman coaching, say they do long distance 70.3 Ironman dengan the one that Tahira is racing, Olympic distance or shorter,
Different.
the program is very different. Because if you are racing in a race macam yang Tahira buat, it's a draft legal race.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the training is very different from Ironman where it's more like time trial. You
Okay.
just continuous macam diesel engine je, just continue. Whereas for them is attacks, macam mana where to attack, the energy system that you need to use for those kind of because the speed keep changing. Dia macam even the run like when Tahira race in the SEA Games, it's not just continuous run yang tu je. Dia orang lari macam track running tau.
Attack dia macam race tapi interval. Like mula lari pace 350, suddenly seorang keluar tekan 320, 3. Satu group nak kena ikut. So people tengok macam dua telon tu macam just lari. Dia bukan, dia ada attack. So dia punya sistem energy dia akan jadi macam ni. Kalau kita main endurance, dia macam naik straight,
just maintain je. It's very simple.
Dua telon, dia... So kita punya jantung tu kena biasa macam pop, naik turun.
Spike tu biasa lah.
Spike. It's more like a bicycle road race lah. There's attacks.
So kena banyak buat surging lah. Banyak surging, banyak attack, banyak surging.
Betul lah, takkan lah ni nak takung kan.
Tak boleh.
Kan?
Tahira is never takut. Tahira's always in the front.
Ada yang selalu takung. Jom pedal. Okay, so macam you dah start dengan Dual since 2018 ada official. So currently how many student that you have?
Currently kita ada 100 lebih lah.
100 lebih?
100 lebih. I think maybe 120, 140.
Coaches semua?
Coaches full time punya satu, and then the others part time 5-6 lah. Part time coaches.
Full time satu. Sebab kenapa bila I start tanya pasal, contohnya I tanya kawan I lah, I tanya Jepah kan, macam mana belajar renang lah, semua cakap belajar dengan RC coaching.
In fact sini we will start coaching April dekat Setapak. So it's very close to you.
Setapak dah mana?
Setapak dekat ni Arena Setapak.
Memang dekat sangat. Dia cantik.
Tiada pengalasan.
No more excuses
So okay, since you dah cakap pasal you ada 100 student, lepas tu you ada banyak hantar budak dari segi race. So maybe you can share a little bit about your training module ke, that mean you based on apa, macam mungkin yang excited nak try triathlon, nak tahu more about your training module.
Training module apa maksud?
Maksudnya macam, okay, biasanya you akan separatekan beginner ke, intermediate ke, lepas tu how's the training, everything. Lepas tu macam periodization, adakah dia by group ke apa ke.
I mean same time dia schedule lah. Like.
So kita punya coaching is on Monday, Wednesday morning, Thursday evening, and then Saturday is long bike lah, and then Sunday is for youth. So Monday we will start pukul 6 sampai pukul 7. Okay, normally we do easy run because normally Sunday memang is we hentak one. So Monday is like easy run, and then we do some run specific strength. After that kita buat swim lah. So we have our swim interval program dekat Bukit Jalil. Ni hari Isnin. Then hari Rabu, then we have a morning session, biasa endurance swim, and then followed by interval running. Okay. Then after that on Thursday biasa kita akan buat another session of interval running. Depends lah, sebab biasa the group on Wednesday and Thursday is a different group. So we do another session interval running lah for those that didn't come on Wednesday. Then after that kita akan buat a swim open water specific. Because open water specific is a skill that they have to develop. You cannot just do like pool swimming and then expect to do open water swim. Kita buat dekat Bukit Jalil juga, dekat dive pool.
Dive pool.
Dive pool kita letak buoy. So dia macam
dia betul-betul nampak cakap pantai
macam open water.
This one is what people lack actually. People ingat masuk Ironman like you gonna swim like tenang, just starting tenang kan. Tak tahu yang masuk Ironman starting je dah kena pak dengan orang.
Betul, sebab itu yang juga I nak tanya kan bila cakap about open water swim kan. Benda ni yang selalu jadi masalah juga kepada newbie, takut kan. So
betul.
Maybe you can share sebab bila banyak juga kemalangan berlaku pun dekat open water swim kan.
So, macam even tahun lepas dekat Ironman kan. Okay, I just go back just now the program. So Saturday kita buat long bike ride. Itu is very important lah, especially those doing Ironman. Long bike ride 3 jam, 4 jam, and then after that kita buat satu brick run. And then on Sunday actually we coaching our youth team. Kita ada very proud of our youth team because from there even we have a few youth that now is almost the top in the country already, and they are just 16, 17 tahun. So
very strong.
We develop them. Kita develop them from 12, 13 years old, and now by 16, 17 they are very strong.
I would say very strong. Like dia punya house power tu very strong.
So masa depan bukan sebab dia 16 tahun 17 tahun.
That's the best, right? You develop them from when they're young and then they grow up.
Belum
and then
peak lagi. Basically 25,
this is something yang I'm very proud with RC coaching juga. If you see all the kids kan yang kecil-kecil tu, daripada kecil parents hantar, and dia punya environment tu is very friendly tau. Macam very competitive tapi friendly, and the kids tu they grow up tu daripada kita tengok selekeh macam tu, bicycle helmet sengit-sengit jadi macam jadi macam pro tau. Macam turun naik basikal lompat tu macam relax.
Dulu kau bajet kecil. Dah besar bajet kecil. Itu beza dia tu dapat helmet sangat. Lepas tu helmet dah ikut saiz kepala dah.
Saya ikut budak tu macam mula-mula kau pakai helmet. Aku tengok terbalik helmet kau macam. Saya ingat sekarang tengok macam pro. Macam.
Dah ada gaya lah. Dah ada gaya lah. So after that yang tadi yang lepas habis basikal semua tu. So on the Saturday ada memang ni lah. So balik kepada soalan open water tu. Kenapa sangat-sangat penting untuk orang belajar? Sebab kadang-kadang orang kan bukan nak cakap apalah. Macam biasa kadang-kadang ada orang dia terlebih rajin. Dia tengok YouTube, lepas tu dia belajar sikit. Dia tengok other people punya Strava, dia learn from. Tapi kenapa pentingnya open water tu?
I think especially because a lot of sekarang ramai orang dah adult, they only started to learn to swim. So they didn't learn to swim when they budak lagi. So when you're adult, you learn to swim, suddenly you go to a deep end, you look down, you don't see anything, a lot of imagination happening, people hentak you here, you cannot breathe, they panic. Happens all the time. That's why a lot of incidents happen, because actually panic attack and they just tak boleh fikir lah when you panic, right? So that's why kalau buat macam kita buat hari Khamis tu simulation, or sekarang on the weekend you go to open sea and then you do the simulation, you training, you learn some techniques macam mana nak overcome your panic attack, it really helps. Sekarang ni besides Ironman lah, most of the organizer they make it compulsory pakai yang safety buoy.
Yes.
Yang benda terapung tu. Because after in 2018 there was a few incidents, right? Things happen and then organizer they make it compulsory lah. Participant must wear safety buoy. So anything happen, at least they got something to back up lah.
If I can share, like macam even myself pun, I don't usually swim dekat open water before this. Tapi bila I dah swim pun kat Teluk Batik kan, and when kita pergi race, it's different tau. Because you will have like kiri kanan orang, and then they don't care. They do not care kalau dia orang terkick you ke, tertampar you ke, terpegang you ke. You don't care as long as they finish within swimming time. So you have to be calm. So kalau dia swim dekat dengan you, either you swim a bit far back ataupun you tolak dia. You also need to know what to do to avoid him, and he also akan macam avoid you. Tapi is something that you both, mana-mana swimmer participant tu dia kena jangan panic. So if you tend to macam very panic, you nampak ada kayakers kan, dia orang standby kan. You pergi kat kayakers, you hold on sekejap. And then stay calm, relax dulu and then baru continue. Ataupun pergi kat buoy. Dia pegang dulu, tak salah, tak penalty pun. Stop je dulu sekejap, bertenang, lepas tu you start swim. Even if you're the last swimmer keluar, tapi you're safe. That's the important thing.
Kadang passion lah macam nak
jangan
ikut rentak orang.
Bukan. It's your own time. Just make sure it's within the finish the cut off time. Tapi as long as you do not panic, itu paling penting. You do not panic. Saya kalau orang lain macam Ironman mesti freestyle, aku breaststroke je all the way. Aku pergi macam ni, aku tengok orang tu melelau sini melelau sana, aku tengok sama je kau breaststroke, aku freestyle aku breaststroke sama je. Apa relax.
Naik kepala macam katak kan. Janji habis.
Janji kejar kat basikal dengan lari.
This is Tahira strategy. 2022 70.3 Langkawi. Tahira came out from the first top Malaysian swimmer. 15 minit ada No, 20 minit
Dekat 30 minit.
Tapi Tahira when she go on the bike, kita follow the tracker, getting closer.
Sampai kat lari, tekan.
Sampai lari je, the first weekend just overtake.
Since you cerita pasal ni, ada satu soalan yang banyak orang cakap. Biasanya orang cakap triathlon ni atau duathlon atau triathlon lah biasanya, adalah game untuk runners. Is it correct or just mitos je?
Dia punya ayat dia salah kat situ. It's the last run that's the most important. Itu yang betul.
So biasa orang kata ni benda ni
semua. So just now you say the game for runners, I would say that is correct for duathlon.
Duathlon je.
For duathlon, because the duathlon the it's very run specific. Runners would gain a lot on duathlon.
Sebab basikal boleh drafting. Faham tak? Dia kalau dia lari kuat, dia dapat catch first peloton keluar daripada transition, dia takung je dekat drafting tu, last run tu dia outrun everybody. That's a runner's game.
Maknanya
runner memang advantage. But okay, so again, powerman certain races tak boleh draft. But actually biking is quite easy to improve on. You put in the work, you can improve on. Whereas because runner, no matter how, if you're running biomechanics, you're not a natural runner, it's very hard to improve. You reach a certain limit. Sebab biomechanics, when you're born, if you're not very efficient runner. But cycling is actually quite easy to improve on.
Yeah, true.
So I would say that is true for duathlon.
Oh, so for duathlon, game runners
Memang that's why like Nick Fakhruddin. I saw him running at the Bukit Jalil there. He always run with the military group, right? So I nampak dia, hey Nick, come. 6 months later, there's a national selection for duathlon. He just joined me a couple of months and then he won first place and qualified to go SEA Games. Berapa bulan je?
Just to fix some bike punya ni semua.
Biking dia drafting je. Dia drafting and then when he go on last, who can chase him?
So tapi kalau untuk triathlon bukan game runners.
Triathlon
game
again triathlon because dia ada draft legal and non-drafting.
Okay.
Non-drafting Ironman, then the swim is not very important. But swim, it makes up only 10-15% of the race. And then the biking is 50-60%. And then the rest is 30%. So I would argue that the bike is very important for Ironman racing. Sebab dia punya volume, majority of the volume is actually on the bike. And then if your bike is very strong, you can hold back a bit. Your legs are still relatively fresh to run. Okay, but then if it's a draft legal race yang boleh drafting, the swim is very important. Sebab if your swim is not good, by the time you come out, there's no bicycle left. Everybody left already. So the swim is very
drafting
important.
Lah tu.
No, yang boleh drafting. Yang boleh drafting.
Oh, tak boleh tumpang lah.
So you can just tumpang on the bike and then the last run will be very important. Sebab everybody come down the bike together. So on a draft legal race like Olympic distance sprint, the swim and the run is very important.
So technically you need to improve semualah nak kita. Sebab dia depends on race, right?
It depends on the different kind of race.
Totally kata kalau you runners, you easy to catch up dua benda.
So macam Tahira, the swimming is not strong. So she's suited for non-drafting Ironman races, 70.3, or because her running is very strong, suited for duathlon. But she wouldn't do well on a drafting, sprint or triathlon, Olympic distance.
Kena tinggal jauh.
By the time she come out, dah 10-15 minutes how to chase. No matter how strong she is, but everybody's in a pack. 5 cyclist, 10 cyclist versus 1 cyclist.
Tapi macam basikal lah. Ini my wife cakap lah. Because my wife pun hari tu lumba dengan dia national champ. My wife my wife cakap, Tahira ni bawa bahaya sikit. Dia masuk, dia tak ada macam, dia masuk je. Kalau dia cocok, dia cocok je. Ini my wife cakap My wife national champ masa dekat Perak tu. Dia berapa kali jugalah. Batu sekali dengan kriteria mengatakan dia masuk kriteria kat PJ kan. Dia ni my wife cakap, dia bawa basikal buah sikit. Dia tak ada macam
Tahira does not know what is fear. Memang tak takut punya.
Lepas tu dia tak ada strategi. Kalau ni my wife cakap dia tak ada strategi, my wife cakap dia pun basikal kan. Dia kalau attack dia attack. Padahal dia tak basikal kan boleh macam slow lah kan. Bila you slow, semua orang slow. Kenapa tak kena buang masa kan?
Because I think mentality because I'm not used to macam dia punya sukan tu dia macam kriteria mengambil basikal, dia punya strategi tu lain because kita dah biasa individu kan. Like I only think about myself. So, macam
sebab national champ kalau you dah semua dah slow, you slow lah. It's good what? Everybody can take a break kan.
Tak tahan.
Nafas kan. Dia tak ada semua. Dan style lain kata, kejar dia. Dia tahu semua orang kena kejar. Semua orang kena buat kerja penat sebab dia seorang.
Tahu sebab apa? Sebab dia tahu kalau aku lepas tu.
Betul kan. Tapi tu dia cakap, ni like sebab dia lah tak ada team. Lepas tu dia pecut seorang. Dia semua dia kata, kejar dia. Betul tak kan? Macam tu kan.
Tapi masalah bila orang lain keluar dia pun tak tahu je.
Sekali bila Kak Echah potong semua tinggal lah kan. Kak Echah gila belakang kan.
Then bila tengok Echah attack macam
Echah relax kan. Bila dia dah ada tekan Echah tekan terus habis. Sadaqallahul azim. Tapi macam you lah kan, experience you coaching dia for the SEA Games kan. Maybe you can share a little bit.
Tahira was let's say 2022 was the SEA Games. We coached the year before, end of the year before. So Tahira memang is quite easy to coach lah. She's memang very disciplined. And even a lot of time I ask her, okay, we just run today 10 km. She will run 15-20 km. Memang the dedication. Dedication line lah. So it's very easy lah. Very easy to work with and very easy to train up.
So macam you kan pernah jadi 3 kali. 3 tahun lah.
3 times lah.
So what is your experience coaching dia? That means yang budak yang represent Malaysia tu daripada RCC coaching ataupun dia memang been selected from the selection ke?
So biasa the process is that they will have like a selection race lah. They will announce, this is the date for the selection race. So I would train up the athletes to prepare for this lah. So kita akan buat proper periodization training to prepare for this race lah. So we train them up, and then if they race, diorang menang first top 2 position, then they will represent the country to go to SEA Games. So the ones that actually I'm in charge is memang dari RC coaching lah. Because other team also they have other coaches also. So normally when we go to SEA Games, maybe when we have like strategy, we discuss among the coaches or the athletes. But for me, myself is I'm focused more on the RC athletes yang akan pergi ke SEA Games lah.
So maknanya kalau atlet yang pergi ke SEA Games bukan daripada RC coaching, you still coach them ke?
No, I don't coach them because diorang ada coach sendiri juga.
Oh.
They will have, so sometimes a lot of times SEA Games ada 2-3 coaches from different teams.
Different. Oh, that means dia different sikit lah macam sukan basikal, sukan lari kan bila when you been selected
Centralized
national ataupun state, you been coached by that state lah kan. Contohnya macam basikal kan, you standing dengan coach Selangor. But you represent the country, you coach dengan under John
Yeah,
Wesley
sekarang so
lah.
that's the thing.
Tapi
Sebab
Dr. Lon tak macam tu
at
lah.
the moment dia tak ada national coach.
Okay.
There's no satu coach that oversee the whole national team, tak ada. So it's more like by clubs or by states.
Okay, so maknanya kalau dia represent by country, dia still continue dengan siapa yang dia coach.
Yes.
So that
yes.
means you need to make sure the RC coach, RC team punya athlete represent country lah. So you can coach diorang lah.
Yes. Even when Tahira went to train with, she was based dekat MSN last year also, but I was still there lah to coach her. So every few days in a week, I will go over and see her and train together with her. So saya masuk je lah as a part of coach for dekat MSN lah.
Okay, faham. Sebab macam dia different sikit sebab dia bukan bawa program kan. So bila dia bukan bawa program, dia different lah sebab kalau macam sukan-sukan lain, bila you represent from state to national, the coach will be different lah. You need to follow the
Tak
national
ada.
coach lah.
It
Dia
doesn't
also
exist.
macam dia different with other country juga kalau macam Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand everything. Diorang memang bawa national team, maksudnya coach diorang
Kan,
ada
coach
seorang.
national kan.
So kalau macam Malaysia, because kita punya sukan triathlon dan duathlon, MSN masih tak tengok lagi as kategori A punya sukan. So it's always like persatuan lah handle. So dia lain sikit. Tapi
So you punya pandangan macam mana persatuan punya support kepada you punya RC coaching? Soalan kena panas sikit, takkan soalan
kena
senang
panas
je.
sikit,
What do you think persatuan punya involvement ataupun relationship dengan RC coaching? Okay kan, alang-alang tanya terus.
I think
Jo, tak boleh jawab Jo. Tak boleh jawab. Cuba cerita sikit.
So most of the athletes and all memang is under the club dia yang jaga lah.
Club yang jaga lah.
Club yang betul-betul yang jaga lah. Even if let's say they struggle with funds or what, a lot of times the club we will try to find out the funds, the training, the coaching, the facilities. So the clubs are playing a very big role. I think that without the coaching, without the club, the current national team will be susah lah.
So
if we just hope for the federation memang susah. So most of all the talented athletes are actually coming from the club atau the coaching side.
Oh yelah sebab federation ni mostly on the management side. On the paper je.
Very direct.
So when you say about the funding right, for example like you want to say, because saya pun faham bila dia represent Malaysia, you category A, B or C?
B.
Category B. Maknanya you
memang
need to
tak ada funding
fund
lah.
sendiri. Kalau menang baru boleh claim kan?
Betul?
Betul tak? Kalau
Betul.
kategori B, kalau kategori C menang pun tak boleh claim nanti. I'm not sure about that. Tapi kalau kategori B,
kalau boleh claim
okay, let me ask you lah kan. So how you manage in terms of funding? Because obviously some other athlete you yang really good,
Yes,
have a good
yes,
talent,
yes.
but don't have financially. So
that's
apa
why
yang RC buat?
so the thing is generally this sport dia memang for a lot of the athletes that come are from middle upper to higher income lah, because it's not a cheap sport. The swimming, the bicycle, the race registration, berapa ribu Ironman, dekat 3,000 registration.
I think 4,000 lah sebab 1,000 USD right?
So it's most of them are from middle upper to higher class income earners lah. So that's the thing that is a bit sayang lah, because we don't know if talented athletes but maybe from poorer family or states like even Kelantan or Terengganu, dia orang tak ada peluang, they don't get that opportunity to race. So for us, of course, from the coaching side we do make some money, and then also from sponsors pun kita ada, so we try our best lah to use those money to fund for the athletes. Yeah. So a lot of time is coming from the coaching or the clubs. or from the sponsors lah.
Macam you Tahira, because you ada 4 orang anak, you ada life you ada ni. Lepas tu suddenly you need to get involved in sport, sometimes represent club or represent country. After that, obviously when come to financially, we talking about financially. Because orang kena tahu yang how struggle. Nanti orang nampak, dia ni power training. Orang tak tahu yang you put just not effort, but financially is the most important thing.
Oh yes.
Maybe you can share a little bit your experience macam mana struggle ni. Orang kena tahu. Media masyarakat kena tahu. Apa orang cakap, sebab kadang cakap dia ni untung lah ada sponsor ni, ada sponsor tu. Dia tak tahu nak dapat sponsor pun it's not easy.
Like
Especially money sponsor.
Yes,
equipment is still you can find, right?
Yes.
Talented athletes like her, you can still find because a lot of people want to promote their stuff.
Betul.
Tapi cash
Money.
yang tu paling susah.
Ticket flight, nak bayar you punya accommodation, bila you pergi race everything. So maybe you can share sikit experience you, atau nak cakap kat terima kasih pada siapa yang hamba-hamba Allah yang belajar banyak tu.
So monetary wise, sponsorship memang susah nak dapat. And then I'm also a person yang I tak pandai nak minta monetary. I
Tak
don't
pandai
know.
buat surat
Bukan, I tak pandai nak minta like budget like that one. Okay, so I usually memang struggle with I train like crazy, I race, pastikan I menang, I dapat duit tu lah I rolling. So orang kadang-kadang macam, Tahira menang 2,000 minggu ni, Tahira menang 10,000. Lepas tu cakap, kau menang aku tak tahu aku nak rolling banyak mana. Bayar hotel lagi, register lagi. For upcoming races yang kita nak register. And then for all of the upcoming races tu, hotel pula. Takkan saya nak duduk hotel harga RM50 satu malam dengan anak 4 orang kan. So kita hotel just about 250. And then my food, my travel cost, my minyak and everything. So that's why bila some people, Tahira boleh tak datang session ni, Tahira boleh tak datang sini atau apa kan. Tapi dia macam macam mana, dia macam expect kita pergi like jauh tau. Like if I'm in KL and then you ask kan, I'm like okay, I'm because I'm very into sports. Tapi tiba-tiba Tahira boleh tak datang Johor? Boleh, tapi ada bilik tak? Oh tak ada lah. Macam aku masak ke macam ni. So in terms of like that otherwise macam and then the other thing is that macam MSN kan, honestly cakap kalau you ada athlete yang mewakili Malaysia, even it's category B, kau bayarlah duit register. Ni we have to pay everything. As an athlete, we are representing Malaysia, you should support in that kind of way. For me lah, it's unprofessional. So I'm speaking as an athlete. So macam SEA Games Vietnam, we paid ourselves to go to SEA Games Vietnam, our flight, our hotel, our entry fee. Pada saya, kenapa menteri je gaya? Kenapa kau tak support atlet bayar benda ni wakil Malaysia? Memanglah nampak pedas sikit kan, macam tak proper cakap kan. Tapi it's the fact.
Sekejap, untuk pengetahuan, itu kata-kata daripada Tahira sebab saya masih doing business with MSN.
Tak lah, itu fakta. Itu fakta lah. I think it's something that everybody should see lah. Because kita ada banyak gila, pada saya, kita ada banyak gila bakat dan juga kita banyak atlet yang betul-betul berusaha, tapi kadang-kadang dia tak ada arah dan dia tak ada support. Jadi kalau orang bagi ruang, bagi peluang, saya boleh cakap Malaysia boleh hasilkan ramai atlet yang lagi jauh lagi bagus. But they need the ruang and peluang.
They need the money. So I think like for Tahira, what she mentioned is if you want to do this sport, you cannot expect to get a lot of money lah. If you're very passionate for this sport and then you want to represent country, you have to manage expectation that you won't be making a lot of money.
You tak boleh expect kiri kanan depan belakang orang akan datang support. It's not like that. It's like how much do you want it, how much you work for it, and berapa banyak you are really willing to sacrifice to go towards there. So orang nampak saya senang, orang tak nampak saya punya belakang macam mana. So memang orang nampak Tahira hari-hari senyum kat Instagram, lari senyum. Do you know? Do you know kat rumah macam duduk termenung tengok kopi.
Next race ni tak settle. Training dah settle. Tapi accommodation facility tak settle. Pun kena fikir juga kan. Itu
kalau jadi daripada segi kita ambil aspek mak Okay, besok race bawa anak. Aku macam mana aku nak bagi anak aku ni sugar rush dia hilang sebelum tengah malam. Lepas tu nak kena bawa anak pergi keluar dulu. Bagi kau ni ada roll sikit. Main sampai penat. Duduk tepi tu kau main sampai penat. Mami penat. Belum penat lagi. Pergi main lagi. Untuk pastikan kita dapat tidur cukup supaya kita boleh race besok. And untuk pastikan dia pun
tidur cukup. Supaya esok pagi dia tak meragam. Kan kalau dia tidak cukup, esok pagi dia meragam. Lepas tu you pun nak pergi race.
Betul.
Stress lah kan.
So you have to, I think at the same time, it's all about balance lah. How do you balance things? So my concept is that no matter how much I train, No matter how much I raise, my kids is my kids and ada priority kat situ. So every day I have my time for them. Every day I have my time for my training. Every day I have my time for work. Semua prioritize. Semua kena balance. So itu cara saya lah. So it's always up to you juga ah, how much you want it, how much you balance it.
Uyo.
It's
Yang
not easy.
ini yang banyak orang tak tahu sebab yelah kadang-kadang orang nampak macam dia boleh lah kerja dia flexi. You always using the term flexi
It's not easy.
to comfort yourself kan. Kita kata dia boleh lah dia flexi. Dia ada ni tapi bila tak tahu belakang tu macam mana kan.
The sacrifice kan?
Even macam sekarang bila saya dah masuk untuk buat rope access technician ni, saya bangun pukul 4 pagi. Pagi saya masak dulu untuk my kids, saya prepare everything, school clothes and everything. Saya keluar sebelum subuh. So saya subuh dekat office kan. Saya subuh kat office terus naik van pergi site. So kat site apa semua settle, kita orang keluar pukul 5.30. Pukul 6 baru sampai. 6 saya bawa anak saya keluar. So everybody sees like, oh, relax. Ya betul lari. Ya betul macam
Penat ke bangun 4 tidur tak cukup sekali. Ui, kalau saya
So-
MC juga lari tu.
sekali-sekala je tunjuk bangun pukul 4. Tapi hari-hari bangun pukul 4 kan.
Ya kan sebab you need to take care of for your
Yeah.
semua kan. So macam coach you punya since you dah full time doing the RC coaching and doing this business. So how you manage your life but you pun nak get involved in you punya training kan sebenarnya bila you coaching orang takkan you nak training. So macam how you manage your life because memanglah kata nak coach air-air kat swimming pool. Ya aku kat swimming pool aku tengok orang
Turun
berenang.
air.
Ah.
So since 2020 the last I actually race proper race lah, early 2020 before COVID kan, I race dekat Bangsan. Then after that saya pun stop racing because it's very hard to balance between coaching and also with racing. I tell you this, if your coach is extremely fit and extremely strong, he's spending a lot of time training. That means he's not focused on the coaching. It is true. Betul tak? When I was very competitive, I train 15-20 hours a week. But 15-20 hours is not just the training. Nak recovery lagi or what. If your coach is super fit and then is world class, I tell you, your coach is not doing his job as a coach.
That's why
Patut coach bola semua perut buncit sebab dia busy. Dia tak ada masa nak main bola.
yeah.
Okey.
Itu yang kalau orang cakap, Taira boleh buat kelas coaching tak? Oh sorry saya tak ada masa.
Kan benda macam tu semua macam
Walaupun saya ada banyak offer, saya boleh je ambil kan untuk side income. Cakap tak boleh, saya tak boleh. I can take tapi I cannot take care of you as good as other coach. So saya tak ambil.
betul
Because
sebab
it comes with responsibility kan.
Sabang Muaizah pun hari tu last time borak dengan dia pun cakap bila dia dah slow sikit lari ni dia kata nak bagi ruang kepada orang muda.
Betul.
Dia nak fokus on coaching. It makes sense kalau
Yeah.
dia still nak training macam pagi tadi saya lari. Saya nak betul saya lari lah. Pagi tadi saya lari. Abang Muaizah dia coaching ada 2 orang. Dia nak coaching so dia tak lari. Saya kata bang mau program ni bang. Tak ada program lah. Coach budak 2 orang tapi
Sebab because
betul lah.
people tengok macam coaching is just coaching. Saya ambil lah macam Coach Rupert kan. So when he sees me datang training kan, dia tengok pun dia tahu. Tak cukup tidur ke, emotion terganggu ke, I have something on my mind ke, I'm not focused ke, dia tahu. So he will lessen dia punya training. Dia tahu what is suitable for that athlete because he knows what's the best for the athlete. So kita jadi coach, it's not like aku bagi kau program asal kau habis aku settle. You cannot do just like that. You have to know dia punya recovery. You have to know apa yang kacau dia. You have to know dia punya emotion. Kalau perempuan pula you have to know dia punya period naik turun juga. So there's a lot of things.
Penat coach nak tahu perempuan dia tu.
Bukan-
Patut banyak coach nak ambil coach perempuan. Penat satu-satu bila.
That's why kalau setengah orang cakap kan, coach dia macam boleh pukul rata je. Atlet perempuan, atlet lelaki. You tak boleh pukul rata. Atlet lelaki lebih fokus. Atlet perempuan you have to also know dia punya cycle. Dia tak payah tahu lah tapi dia akan mention saya hari ni period. Okay.
Saya bad mood
Kurangkan sikit training. You have to be flexible juga. So being a coach is just not like kau buka internet,
Bukan just
kau
program.
tengok program, aku bagi kau program ni.
I think a lot of the best coach is a coach that boleh observe. It's not the program. The program is very easy. Energy system or what. You don't need to go to ISN or whatever or World Triathlon Certified. It's all over the internet. Anybody knows the program.
You can buy also right.
You can buy anything. So it's very simple. But you observe the athlete. You talk to them. A lot of time just by talking to them, you tengok their emotion. You can tell whether they are fully recovered or they're not fully recovered. Or sometimes a lot of athletes also, they don't really trust the coach, so they don't really tell what's going on. Sometimes they are very other problem in the family life, or sometimes they are injured, but they don't trust you enough to tell you what's problem. So you have to build that relationship with the athlete. That is the best coach. You can actually observe and realize what is needed by the athletes, and you connect with them emotionally, then you can go very far as a team. Tapi kalau some of them they don't really trust the coach, they half trust the coach, and then you just there, just give order, you do faster, it's better. Then after a while the athlete is injured, so that's not good coaching.
So that means the bonding between coach.
The bonding,
and athlete.
I would say if anybody wants to be a good coach, the first step they should do is to learn psychology actually, not physiology, not energy system atau apa, psychology, because you have to really understand the athletes
You like mind
psychologically.
Coach
Betul.
budak tak nak bagi tahu, tapi lepas tu coach main teka-teka pula kan.
Because the coach needs to know, dia tengok athlete tu dia tahu, you're holding back. You can go more but you're holding back. Ataupun dia tahu budak tu dah all out and you need to rest. Dia tahu where to push, where to rest. Dia tahu bila nak kena suruh budak tu stop, bila nak suruh budak tu tekan lagi. He knows, she knows. So it's not like simply macam coaching je.
I think the
Macam cendawan
mistake
tumbuk.
banyak they just program and then after they push the athlete and then they always have the faster the better, the faster the better. You run 3:15. Saya rasa boleh 3:10. Dia hit 3:10 then 3:05. You don't have a control on them. That's why a lot of athletes are burnt out or injured, because the mentality, especially I think even in Malaysia or Asia, is that harder is better. I don't believe in that.
Asia.
It's not better. Harder is not better.
Asian
Yeah.
mentality.
It's not harder is
Yes.
better. It's the right amount for where you are at the moment and what is needed. That is the best way of program. So a lot of time, yes, Tahira can run 3:15, but if she keep running 3:15, then I know the injury is high. So that's just hari ni kita maintain saja 3:30. Faster than 3:30 is not good. So a lot of coaches reward the athletes lagi laju lagi bagus. But no, for me, you hit the right pace is the best. The right pace at the right volume is the
So
best.
dalam training program pun dia akan tulis kat situ. Do not push 100%. Reserve 80.
Oh,
reserve
yeah, ada.
70.
Always reserve lah. You don't want to go.
80% effort.
Even when you hear Eliud Kipchoge, right,
Yeah.
best world marathon runner, always he say, I training, I only go 80%. I never go more than that because then I will burn out injured. They always fall back.
Because the recovery process is longer than dia punya training process.
Okay. Dari segi sudut business wise, case this is 2024. So what is the RC coaching punya business plan ke? What is your target in terms of business? Because end of the day, you doing this is for your
Yes.
full time.
Yes.
You are a full time coach and you consider as a business owner for this RC coaching. So what's the plan for 2024?
So 2024 kita memang plan to expand lah the coaching. In fact, we are going to start to expand in the next few weeks already. So macam before kita basic kat Bukit Jalil saja, then after that one of the new places is Arena Setapak. We are hiring new coaches also lah. Also we are venturing into like more clinics and camps and create awareness. We give talks.
Oh, okay.
Macam kami also there's a Desaru camp. So biasa kita buat sendiri je, but now I also join venture with another Singaporean coaching company. So we getting the Singaporeans in. It's a bigger revenue lah for us.
Yang bulan 4 ni
Bulan 4, 19 to 21st.
Yang dia buat story kan, yang bagi tahu kat sini hotel dia.
Ya.
Finish line kat swimming pool tu kan.
Ya. New location.
Is it?
Yes.
Kan?
Ah.
Kita tahu.
Dia
So
semua
macam
tahu.
maybe you can share a little bit about the arena tu bila buka?
Arena tu kita target bulan April tu buka.
April. Coach kategori yang ada untuk budak berapa tahun sebab macam masuk.
Mostly is that one kita target for masters, that means age grouper lah. Yang orang dewasa yang already kalau boleh they can swim already. We have a coach dari Australia that will be helping us to coach lah over there.
Dekat dengan rumah boleh
dekat.
Australia. Tapi pool dia cantik kan?
Oh, cantik.
Dia macam international
Yes.
standard kan?
Indoor
kan?
pool, and so indoor advantage kalau hujan or whatever, at least it's still covered. You can still train.
Covered, kan?
So it doesn't affect the
Oh,
training
I'm
lah.
coming kan?
Yes.
Tahira's coming.
Tahira also is definitely one of our coaches.
Dia nak pindah kat KL lah.
For biking, for running, and you know, Tahira's been in the sport berapa belas?
16 tahun.
16 tahun.
16 tahun.
So it's not just theory that she's teaching, it's from her experience of racing. Bukan just baca buku or watch YouTube. A lot of coaches are doing that. This is the real deal. SEA Games medalist.
You nak buat coaching for this year. So this year you macam mana? You punya event yang besar
Belum.
apa semua macam mana?
Sekarang saya tak daftar event lagi. Macam mana?
Kata Sparta jadi ambassador.
Spartan je. So yang mana ada slot.
So memang so far macam this year, what is your target?
Actually, I'm also planning to join back for SEA Games Thailand next year.
Thailand next year.
So I'm more because I before this to Cambodia, I think one of my mistake was that I did a lot of endurance also. Because I have so much races, so I had to speed ada, pergi buat endurance juga. So I think like for SEA Games Thailand, and because I'm also working and my kids are also having classes, so I think I want to focus more specifically on that distance, so more short races. Short races.
More short races. Maksudnya 10 km.
More power, more speed. So
Trail masuk? Trail
ambil yang short.
Short je lah.
Walaupun saya tengok 100k tu macam tempting kan.
Ultra masuk ke? Tak masuk, tak sure lagi lah.
Short distance okay.
Short distance lah.
Because trail pun short distance you can go very fast. Kalau trail pada saya short distance downhill laju macam lari kat jalan. So dia okay.
Saya dekat Teluk Batik try to run with her downhill. Oi. Lain macam. I do trail but as amateur. I was running with her turun bukit. Asal 1 minit tak nampak dah.
Saya dah slow down dah.
So can take video, can lari, take video selfie, waiting for me. Balik I push like I think 20 minit, 30 minit lah I come downhill lah. After that sakit 3 hari kaki.
Kau sakit 3 hari lah.
3 hari sakit kaki tak boleh jalan betul.
Okay coach, for maybe you have some advice, but yelah saya tahu sebenarnya macam saya pun banyak join running community. Diorang pun sebenarnya macam nak cuba duathlon, triathlon, tapi kebaikannya akan cuba duathlon dulu.
Yes.
Sebab berenang ni dia lain sikit effort dia.
Correct.
Disiplin pun berbeza kan.
Betul.
So lagi nak training 3 disiplin. Untuk orang yang baru nak start kan, lagi pun macam average pun nak terus jump to 3 disiplin maybe quite big action for them kan. So what is your advice for beginner yang nak start dengan duathlon? Maybe what they can consider, what they need to think, how they manage to dia macam yelah maybe ada yang macam nak go for your RC coaching tapi macam nak cuba dululah kayu basikal dulu. Yelah kalau you tak cuba macam mana nak tahu kan mana yang lag, mana yang kena improve kan. Maybe you can some advice for them.
First step, beli basikal dulu.
Itu nak cakap tu, mesti nak beli je.
Beli basikal dulu. Kalau tak ada basikal, pinjam kawan punya basikal. Sewa. Pinjam kawan. You need a bicycle first. So, you don't need the fancy berapa 50-60 ribu punya bike. You can always also get a second hand bike, borrow a bike. At least try out first. Whether you interested or not in the sport. Kalau dah try, you join a few race, you interest, baru you invest in a proper road bike, or if you have more budget, a time trial bike.
Saya nak potong kat
Ya.
Kalau dah kayu basikal tak stopnya.
Janganlah kacun, awas sangat nak kacun. Bagi dia kayu basikal dulu. Okay coach.
So once you have a bicycle, you can find a group lah. There's now so many community all around Klang Valley. If you stay other states pun ada. Join a group, but make sure lah the group is beginner friendly lah. So they can teach you the skills of biking. Sebab biking is not just biking. How to give hand signal, how to corner properly, how to brake properly, how to have a group cycling etiquette macam mana. Tak boleh main bantai je. So you have to follow lah. But make sure lah they are beginner friendly because some of them are already very established. You just join lah, memang kena lah. Okay, then from there on
pergi sekali balik seorang-seorang.
Pergi in a group balik seorang-seorang. Some had to call, tak tahu jalan balik, had to call Grab.
Sebab tu I selalu kayu dengan state. Bila tertinggal je terus naik van. Selamat. So that's the basic.
That's the basic lah. Then from there on, then you put it together. You put the bike run together. So it's quite senang lah. Then you, nearer to the race, let's say 1 month before the race, then you can start to do specific bike run program lah. Run to bike or bike to run. So to prepare the brick training. But again, I think a lot of people they overemphasize on the brick training. Actually, the brick training tak penting sangat. Paling penting your pure biking and your pure running has to be strong. If you want to do well.
Brick tak berapa penting sangat
It's not as important as most people think. Paling penting is your stand alone bike and run is strong. Then you just cantum it. And even like 1 month before the race and once a week training dah cukup lah.
Transition tu dia senang dapat.
Sekejap je.
Sekejap je.
Base cycling and base running tu you kena build up.
If you're a slow runner, you do the bike run also, it won't be fast. If you're a slow runner. But if you're a fast runner, then you bike run is very easy to have a still very good run because you're a fast runner.
Kalau you are fast cycling, running ada masalah?
It really depends. It really depends. So some people they memang they are very good runners, and some people a lot of cyclists are very bad runner because they pure cycling and then their leg become very muscular, besar sangat.
I terpaksa sangkal kejap.
Ah.
Sebab Joe,
Ah.
Powerman tahun lepas, first running dia, dia buat klasik. 5 km dia 24 minit. Yang tu je. Saya pun tak tahu kenapa. Macam mana Joe? Boleh buat 24 minit Joe?
So again, that's why I said the biomechanics is very important. So biomechanic, the natural running biomechanics, dia bagus probably. He's a natural runner. And a lot of cyclists are not. They come out the bike and then they run bop
Betul, dia
berat.
lari buruk kan. Budak basikal kalau lari memang buruk. My wife lari pun buruk.
Especially those that only biking tak pernah lari memang
Dia
it's
sebab,
very hard for them.
pada saya lari ni dia punya rhythm of running tu dia very unique individually. So lagi satu dia macam it's how macam mana kita nak dapat badan tu running in the rhythm yang dia boleh pergi laju. It's not about kita nak lari effortless tau. It's not just about running fast, tapi how effortless you run because you boleh conserve a lot of energy bila you lari. Biomechanically you bagus, you punya running tu energy yang pakai tu tak banyak macam orang lain. So you boleh pergi more fast and more faster.
The economy lah.
Economically.
Oh, that means that's the reason we need some
You
time.
can you can run like say for him he run say 24 minute is what 5 example lah 5
5
30 5:30 pace lah
5:30 pace.
kan, so she can be running 5:30 pace also, but when she run 5:30 pace she's only using 60% of her energy and he's running at 90% energy, so nampak sama pace but the fuel consumption lain. So after a while kita tengok siapa who's gonna bong first.
Betul.
The fuel consumption dia lain.
Rhythm lari tu, nak dapat rhythm, nak dapat lenggok, nak dapat efficient lari tu bukan dengan lari laju. It's with the slow, easy run, long run.
Ni Aziz Hamzah cakap tu, dia kata ada orang lari 5 km, 10 km dia kata habis. Sebenarnya you boleh improve lagi.
Oh yeah.
Mungkin last time 10 km heart rate you 1.5. Now you improve to 1.4, 1.3.
Yeah, but still the same pace. You're getting more
Yes.
economical. That's endurance training lah, zone 2 training.
Betul.
Pasal
Sebab
macam
some
mana
people-
bila lari long tu, how you control your breathing, how easy your body is, how you make the body rasa macam ringan lah. Macam mana aku nak buat badan aku lagi ringan masa lari. So semua benda ni kena masa berlari. Apa yang saya advise is that masa berlari, you tak boleh berlari kosong. Jangan berlari menonong je. Berlari tu sambil tu fikir, kat mana aku boleh betulkan? Oh, mungkin kalau aku lari kaki aku macam ni lebih efficient. Kalau aku lari tangan aku dia punya ni macam ni, mungkin aku boleh kita punya economical lari tu lagi cantik. So sambil lari tu fikir. Kalau ambil nafas tu pula jangan ambil nafas. Kena ambil nafas dalam. Ambil dalam. Maksudnya dia bukan just surface tau. Dia ambil. Kan setengah orang lari kan. Tapi dia tak masuk tau.
Tak masuk. Dia tak masuk lagi mana?
Dia macam dekat atas je. So pada saya, kalau orang ambil tengok video saya kan, saya boleh cakap, kalau saya ambil video pun nampak mulut saya tak buka kan, sebab saya banyak pakai hidung. So you also need to learn, masa lari long tu, learn how to breathe, learn how to conserve energy. So bila kat situ akan banyak improve.
Mana yang sesuai dengan badan kita lah.
So long easy run is very important.
Yeah, like what Tahira mentioned, actually nose breathing it really helps.
Yeah. Sebab dia kuatkan diagram kita kat bawah ni, dia buat kita more relax, and dia ada macam satu, apa saya lupa dia ada satu, what do you call it when kita nafas ke hidung, dia ada like one chemical yang our body.
Yeah, it goes through the nose. Sebab hidung here actually there's like a shape like a shell like that. So it
yang sinus ni.
so you feel it in if through the mouth, it doesn't go through there. So you want to feel it in through there. So that is the proper way of breathing that is much more beneficial for you.
And then you relax the body.
Yeah, it's much more
So you akan jadi
beneficial.
lebih tenang masa lari.
But this is for easy run lah. But when you go hard run, you tak boleh lah. No, because you are already revving that gym.
So macam mana breathing yang complete tu? Cuba coach share sikit. Tadi cakap breathing macam mana yang complete, yang sampai dia kata macam more easy semua.
Oh, like what Tahira show lah, deeper breathe through the nose.
Lepas tu yang bila kita lepaskan kat mulut.
Kat mulut boleh, kat hidung boleh, tapi biasanya mulut juga macam dia.
Deeper breathing.
So biasanya orang kata yang 2 kali tarik nafas, 1 kali lembut, lepas tu pun.
Okay, kat situ saya nak cakap satu benda. You do not make running complicated. Running is very simple. Kalau laju, buka lah mulut.
Kalau laju sekali kau dah macam mana nafas.
Asalkan dia masuk. Tapi bila laju, kalau siapa pakai hidung kan, dia punya bukaan hidung dengan buka mulut kan, bukan hidung kecil kan. So the oksigen yang dia dapat consume pun nak tarik kan sikit. Kalau terkepit hidung kau.
Sebab exhaust kecil,
Okay.
Tapi dia susah. So ambil, tapi saya pun masa tengah lari long, tengah laju pun saya akan tapi ada masa saya akan Dia kan macam tu lah. So you ambil oksigen as much as you need. So masa makin laju makin banyak oksigen you ambil. Just more deeper lah. Jangan ambil macam lepas tu dah keluar balik. Ambil dalam. Tu yang penting. Proper.
Tak kisahlah 2 kali ke 3
There's a lot of different ways lah. So whatever works specifically for you. Some people they teach 3 in, 2 out.
Yes.
Right?
Betul,
Some
betul.
is 2 in, 2
2 in, 2
out.
out.
And when you're pushing hard, 2 in, 1 out. So they can
Yes.
be, but you have to find what works for you.
Coach hanya boleh guide je kan. Tapi
Coach
what
can get,
suitable.
we will guide you on the way, but how actual that you want to do is actually up to the individual.
True.
Nak penting ni. Jangan main coach ni. Iron Man sub 10 hours. Kan coach? Berapa you punya time best?
9:59.
Are you sure lah?
Yeah, betul.
Okay. Consider sub 10 hours juga.
9:59. 30 lebih saat. A lot of people like to tell the story lah. 9:59 is not true. This is not true story.
Yeah.
It was 9:59, 33 macam tu.
Tapi tak kisah. Bila tu dia report, sub 10 hours.
Still top sub 10. Yeah.
Oh really lah coach?
Yeah.
Because
9:59.
apa yang I tahu you sub 10 hours.
9:59.
Laju lah. Tapi
Ada-
you punya 9:59,
59,
30 something second.
Saya nampak macam
saya
tak
tahu
cukup.
sebab ada setengah orang dia akan buat macam ni. Kalau marathon engkau buat berapa? Dia kadang-kadang kalau benda tu masih dalam 4, maksudnya dia buat 4 jam kan. Dia dah masuk ke arah 5, orang kata buat sub 4 kan. So macam kalau saya sub 4 tu biar bawah sikit. Dia boleh
kalau
4.
boleh nak 4-3, dia kan 4-5 pun tak apa kan. Lagi 10 minit still sub 5 kan. Macam tu kan.
Sub 5 kena
Dia kalau boleh sub 4:30 macam tu lah.
Saya pun nak jauh sikit, but dah maximum dah. Already maximum.
Tinggal berapa second
Dia rasa dah maximum. I want to push earlier.
Kalau tersungkur depan tu, memang kacau lah. Bayangkan kalau tersungkur, orang tu dah standby tower lah untuk you. Tiba-tiba tersungkur. Dah lebih 10 hours lah. Okay coach, just sebelum kita nak mengakhiri kita punya podcast, thank you so much for sharing. Okay, kalau you tak jadi coach RC, you not doing this coaching for triathlon, apa yang you tengah buat sekarang? You rasa lah, what you doing right now?
Ni very difficult question, but most likely I will work for myself lah, business sendiri lah. Because before saya kerja untuk corporate, and then when you work for corporate, alamak, every time meeting, you jumpa developer, jumpa contractor, semua muka so angry, so stressed. Saya now in triathlon, everybody comes so motivated, so happy. I also feel very happy. So I feel very,
Contagious kan?
You feel very happy. So I go to work also I feel very happy. So something by myself and can contribute lah to people that
That's something kan. After work and then korang macam everybody goes to training session kan. And everybody finds that's the place where they release everything. And kat situ tempat yang happy. So all the positive vibe comes in and you get like recharge for that day. The next day you rasa okay. Lepas tu macam kalau kat kerja tak okay pun by the end of the day I still have my training and that's the place where I recharge. So macam
Betul, I setuju. I pun macam for my pekerjaan hakiki saya kan, doing government contract, supply jumpa orang semua. Kerana kerja tu penat. Tapi benda yang buat I rasa macam tenang sikit, happy sikit adalah doing podcast. Sebab kita boleh dengar cerita orang. Sebab sebenarnya sambil kita nak berkongsi dengan orang, it's good kita dapat dengar. Macam for me, the reason kenapa Sport Addict ni ada, sebab dulu masa kita time jual gel kan, kita buka booth semua kan. I really want to know about benda lain. Maknanya macam if you are talking about RC, I want to know more about you. I nak borak macam mana you ni, how you ni, apa semua kan. Dia macam you running, I tahu macam mana you training, what kind of training that you doing. Saya suka nak tahu. Saya macam bakatong sibuk lah, kepoci lah. So bila I buat start buat content, kita buat macam first kita buat interview je kan. So bila interview buat, I know little bit about the surface of the people punya business, people what they are doing. So tu come out macam kalau buat podcast sekali lagi best boleh tanya macam-macam. Macam hari ni kan. Even though I still remember last year atau last 2 year Jepah dia told me macam kau kalau nak berenang kau belajar dengan RC coaching. I don't know siapa itu RC coaching. I don't know who is RC coaching. I still remember I start tahu sebab Powerman tahun lepas I still jumpa you punya one of Edwin
Yes,
Edwin ada cerita sikit.
Edwin is very nice.
Yes, masa tu Edwin cerita juga yang dia nak akan pergi masuk event dekat mana? Masa tahun lepas Powerman dia masuk
dia
juga.
pergi Langkawi.
Yes, lepas tu dia pergi Langkawi. Lepas tu dia ada buat yang kat mana tu yang dia ada nak buat dengan masa dia rekod dengan Arena tu dekat
Laguna, Phuket
kan.
Ya.
So dia ada cerita sikit lah. Masa tu I macam tahu, oh this is Edwin, coaching. Lepas tu I tanya my friend, Tapi kenapa RC coaching? Kenapa RC ni Edwin? Oh rupa Cheng. Oh this is the founder. Kan masa tu. So sebab masa tu dia pakai baju RC coaching. Tu macam okay. But I introduce lah myself. I just do sport addict. We selling supplement. Tapi that is the best part about bila I buat podcast, I can meet people like you. Like you. Macam Tahira pun, I tak pernah borak pun dengan dia. Nampak dia podium semua je. Dia tahu I pun sebab
nampak dia masa dia tengah attack on the bicycle dia.
Attack on the bicycle sebab yelah macam kita jumpa pun macam national champ Perak. Lepas tu ada sikit criterium yang ada masuk. I jumpa dia semua macam bak kata orang, kebanyakannya orang yang I jumpa before I buat podcast, I just jumpa like say hey, hi,
hi, bye-bye.
Macam tu je.
I think it's very good, especially podcast like this long form is where you can betul dapat context. You cannot like just borak with somebody and then we show and then people they cannot get the in-depth of the knowledge. They're too shallow. They pendek sangat. You cannot get the.
That's why bila I buat ni macam RC coaching macam that's good because people sebab I tahu banyak orang kat luar sana dia maybe nak try duathlon because bila when you start running you akan cakap aku dah fit. Why don't I try cycling?
Yes.
Bila dah cycling macam orang kata swimming open water lagi best lah. The eager is sebab you dah fit. Bila you dah fit you kan happy untuk main apa sukan pun.
Do not put limit on yourself.
Yes. Macam sekarang I pun asyik ajak kau I main bola. Because I dah fit. Dulu I main bola selalu main defend. Now I nak main striker. I cakap. Because I know I can run. I can speed. I cakap. I do interval every once a week. Obviously I can play striker lah sekarang. Tapi bila I tahu akan ada orang yang kat luar sana dia nak tahu macam-macam sukan. Tapi dia sometimes bila I dapat DM ada yang cakap bang interview lah pula bang triathlon, duathlon punya. That's why when you offer to macam wow that's a good opportunity. Sama juga macam sukan gravel. Now ada orang DM I dia nak cerita sikit pasal gravel sebab obviously nowadays industri basikal is quite slow, semua orang pun tahu. Luckily still have a duathlon. Orang nak tengok duathlon dengan triathlon still kena naik basikal. Kalau tak lagilah slow industri basikal. So now the gravel coming up, so a lot of events. So
I would actually love to see kalau macam like the government will actually macam support like gravel, mountain biking and sukan ni because I think actually you can bawa ramai gila budak-budak kecil masuk join. Tapi they need support je.
Lagi satu kita dah kena start explore sukan-sukan yang bukan nak kata kurang famous tapi sukan yang kita boleh sebab kita punya sukan teras sukan yang terlalu general which is we need to compete with other country yang lagi berpotensi dan lagi experience wise. Tapi we need to explore. Macam example lah last time kita tak explore for me lah from my opinion last time Nicole David right kita push untuk masuk Commonwealth Olympic sebab kita nak try to gain a medal. Tapi bila Nicole tak ada
we don't
we punya squash is still
tak sampai dia punya
on the right
like you just focus on one athlete until you burn macam you
dia dah habis
habis
dia habis kan. So I think we need to explore sukan-sukan yang kurang famous. Bukan nak kata tak bagus, actually banyak je kat luar sana yang negara-negara yang European even tak famous pun jadi famous sebab atlet. Contohnya siapa tu yang badan dia tak sesuai untuk triathlon tapi laju tu.
Christian Blumenfeld.
Dia ada national dia mana? Nationality dia.
Dia Norwegian.
Nobody give a damn about Norwegian. Tapi sebabkan dia semua macam dengan orang tak boleh terima badan dia macam tu, dia boleh even kayu lagi laju daripada most of the cyclists yang ni. Lepas tu dengan lari dia semua. So pada dengan zaman media sosial sekarang we need to explore sukan yang bukan tak famous tapi sukan yang kurang pendedahan yang kita maybe boleh cuba nasib which is mana tahu tiba-tiba kita akan lahirkan medalist daripada sukan tu.
And the other thing is that kita kena tahu and kita patut realise yang budak-budak zaman sekarang are very daredevil. So you bagi dia something sukan yang daredevil and dia click dia orang akan jadi someone lah. So like sekarang budak-budak kalau suruh jom lari track, apa benda lari track boring lah. Tapi cuba suruh dia buat something yang lebih agresif, lebih mencabar, dia akan macam aku nak kau boleh buat, aku boleh buat. So budak-budak sekarang kalau kita perhati kan, diorang punya hype is not like kita dulu-dulu tenang. Sekarang is like very hyper lah. So you need all of this kind of sport. You need to bawa budak-budak ni masuk benda-benda macam ni. So kita akan hasilkan ramai gila atlet yang orang cakap the devil tu sebenarnya ramai je. Cuma bagi ruang, bagi peluang.
Betul. I agree dia sebab macam kita orang pun get involved dengan Science and Nabi Track Series. Yang Science and Nabi Track Series ni fokus on track saja. So because of SNW Taxi Range ada race every week, pernah sekali tu State Penang boleh hantar sampai berapa? Jo 15 rider kan. State Penang 20 lebih rider. Track. Kita kata track tak ada rider. Penang boleh bawa 20 orang. Naik van 2 biji.
Dia bagi ruang
Race track,
je,
macam
bagi peluang.
Kita pun terkejut. Memanglah masa first race, 2 race tu banyaklah yang jatuh sebab diorang slow dekat yang tu kan. Naik sini je zap jatuh bawah. Jatuh bawah. Tapi I ingat macam maybe diorang ni pun baru lagi lepas tak ada. Tapi suddenly ada sampai satu tahap tu I borak dengan diorang. Ni berapa umur? 18 ke? Tak. Form 3. You see form 3 dah naik track velodrome untuk State Penang.
Ada diorang ada track kat Penang?
Tak ada track.
Wow.
Itu yang I cakap wow tu. You tak ada track dekat Penang, you boleh bawa 20 orang lebih race dekat velodrome untuk YZ Track Series. Mana datang budak-budak tu? Saya pun tak tahu macam mana coach Munir tu boleh jumpa sampai 20 orang.
Dia cycle dekat running track.
Tak, dia cerita budak tu tak dapat gambar kan. Macam mana track tu? Kena buka Google lah. Tapi boleh dapat 20 orang. Tu yang saya cakap. Actually kalau RC coaching growing in the, maybe nak dapat athlete selection untuk duathlon, triathlon tu like macam tu je. Kan panggil election, so you also happy kan. So you can produce everything semua, right?
Betul.
And then for me also like podcast macam ni kan. Like it's very good because everybody should know stories are magic. Stories are magic. Kat situ you boleh dapat tahu belajar dan tahu experience, knowledge, and also at the same time you boleh feel the emotions. So for me, stories are magic, and podcast macam ni I think you should do more yang boleh inspire more younger kids.
Yang bab struggle tu kan.
Yeah,
so menuntut kopi tu kan.
So like me kan, I run with my kid and with Amin kan. Amin skate belakang ikut saya lari kan. Orang nampak dia skate sekarang hebat, laju semua kan. Tapi orang nampak bila saya ajar dia dekat beranda, dinding sini sana. Dinding je selangkah lebih je. Dia training macam tu. Mula-mula masa dia kecil umur 5-6 tahun. Sekarang dia dah 14 tahun. Dia teman saya. Tapi I ajar dia daripada dia kecil. So I would also like to see like kalau kat Malaysia ni ada roller skating punya competition like overseas kan. And sebab sekarang budak-budak roller skate ramai gila. Tapi they do not have any place to tunjuk aku laju.
Dia pergi ni KL Car Free Day. Bila you lari KL Car Free Day ramai budak roller skate.
Ramai kan. So kalau like we have like the government also put effort ada skate punya jalan. Macam satu taman for skate ataupun satu track skate. Skate kan ada track dia 400 lah kan. So bila ada macam ni pun you can banyak benda yang kita boleh bentuk kids melalui sukan sahaja. You boleh develop a very good person just through sports. You boleh bentuk attitude dia punya responsibility, how he grows just by sports.
Tapi actually when it comes to development, sport important sebab bila
memang
budak tu dia get involved in sport, pertama kali perspektif dia kita tahu dia akan berdisiplin.
Yes, the discipline, punctual. Lepas respect a teammate, respect your coaches, follow the rules. So banyak, and it's not just for the sports but other parts of life. Education, you can use it for your education next time when you work, family. So that is memang very worth it lah, berbaloi lah that you expose the kids to sports. Like that's why we are so proud of our youth team, right? When they come and then like Tahira say they come late, seleke or what, but after a couple of years you start to see they really change. Yes, they learn sportsmanship. They learn, discipline, punctuality semua ni.
Dia kata ni tips yang banyak mak bapak tak tahu bila anak get involved dengan sukan. Especially bukan I tahu. A lot of my follow pun aunty-aunty macam-macam juga. Sebab dia kata Naim, Acik sukalah Naimnya podcast tu. Kan? Anak Acik pun tengok. Okay, I nak bagi tahu tu benda yang banyak orang tak tahu. Actually sport ni kepada yang mak-mak kat luar sana, especially young parents lah. When anak you get involved in sport, actually ia adalah satu step kepada untuk anak you sambung belajar. Because once anak you represent Sukma, you have already some good access to continue your study.
For sure.
Memang bukan saja continue your study, but you can get a scholarship. Yang ini I'm not racist but this is a lot of tips yang Chinese punya parents guna. That's the reason you jangan pelik dekat BAM every pukul 2, pukul 3 mak bapak drop by hantar anak lepas habis sekolah Chinese school terus hantar pergi BAM training because they want to be selected for Sukma or any BAM punya ni kan. Tapi sebenarnya itulah satu cara macam mana you punya anak untuk access ke universiti.
Like one of our athletes, Mayumi, she does very well in sports. She stopped already. Then after COVID, I needed female athlete. I look for her, cari, talk to the mother. bring her back, and then she did very well in the sport. She qualified for SEA Games. University in America was looking for talented triathlon, bawa dia race in university in America under NCAA
Confirm
scholarship.
scholarship, right?
Scholarship.
Yes.
Ini yang banyak parents tak tahu bila dia tengok anak macam sukan. Actually go for something. For example like starting represent school. After that represent state. Sebab ini juga yang berlaku sebab macam I kadang-kadang kan, cause my my son dia lari dengan track dengan Chak Academy. Adalah I dengar.
Chak Academy is good.
Chak Academy is good. Because cikgu dia coach dia adalah cikgu sekolah. Dia pernah represent for state juga kan. So I dengar mak dia borak-borak lah semua kan. I selalu kata kat mak yang parents ni kan, try to get involved dengan sukan ni, and try to nak tak nak you need to get involved with persatuan juga.
Yes.
Persatuan can help you to access your
Betul.
your son ke daughter
Yes,
ke
yes.
untuk represent mana-mana event.
And I would say support. In terms of if you can as much support.
Betul.
Kalau if you can monetary then support. If you can develop your kids to the maximum then support. Like my kids, dia orang belum lagi nak pergi ke arah track ke olahraga. So dia orang masih macam Amin masih kat skating, Alia masih kat skating and trail running. So I'm not pushing yet, tapi I always monitor in terms of I still bagi, I tak bagi dia orang stop. Tapi I bagi in a fun way. So they will love the sport. So bila sampai time dia orang betul-betul nak buat, they can go all out. Macam Amin I nak start push lah untuk olahraga because dia punya physically memang sport
Suitable lah.
person.
It's very tall.
So I pernah borak dengan siapa tu Aquatic KL, I think Karen apa? Madam Karen, somebody lah.
Okay.
Dekat renang Kuala
Okay,
Lumpur.
yes,
Renang Kuala Lumpur.
yes.
I tanya dia, "Madam, my son nak belajar berenang boleh?" Dia cakap kan, "Your son berapa umur?" 6 tahun. Jangan belajar berenang lah. Why? Belajar apa yang papat anjal.
Diving.
Diving.
Okay.
Because now
Yeah.
dekat Malaysia,
Oh yes.
talent untuk diver sangat kurang. I tak pasti kenapa.
One
Mungkin
thing
sebab
is that-
malu pakai speedo kot.
Bukan.
Itu kan tak ada guna.
Satu lagi, you need to know, kita orang besar, kita dah ada fear tau. Kids do not have
Yeah.
fear. So if you want to create a very daring punya athlete yang dia yakin dengan diri dia, confident, you memang buat daripada kecil. Because dia orang tak ada fear. You guide, dia orang akan berani buat. Tapi you kena guide in a way yang it's a happy, macam you bagi dia challenge tau. Yang dia orang macam, dia percaya kat you percaya kat dia, and you boleh guide dia untuk terjun ke apa ke, dia tak takut. So macam my daughter kan 6 tahun kan, yang ada jantung lubang, yang dah operate semua tu kan. Kalau you tengok dia pergi kolam, orang pun geling kepala. Dia pergi, dia lompat. Dia pergi, dia lompat. Tak gerti penat. Lompat je for her 6 years old. And then ada sampai satu point tu, dia maju. Cakap, kenapa? Nak buka life jacket. Nak lompat tak nak life jacket.
Ini belajar dengan hasil coaching ke?
So
Lain
saya
macam berani dia.
so saya tak bantutkan dia dekat situ.
Yeah.
Cakap, okay, you nak lompat kan? Mami duduk kat tengah. So I floating kat situ. I tunggu dia lompat. Dia dah lompat. I pegang dia. I bagi dia kat tepi.
So tak kira life jacket lah.
Lompat balik.
Mami pula penat. Mami pula kena pakai life jacket.
Mami dah Mami pandai swimming So okay lah.
Betul. That is
Yeah. And one thing I want to comment, especially if they are very young, say 12 years old and under, there's no need to go so specialized yet. Let them play a lot of different kind of sport. Jangan macam, okay, I want my son to be the next Lee Chong Wei. So from 6 years old, start playing badminton. So they have only one skill, that badminton skill. Tapi they lose out a lot of other things. Macam, for continuous endurance run ke, or swimming ke, they lose out a lot of things. So because they only have one. So I would recommend kalau boleh, let them try many different kind of sports. But you don't know whether your son will be very good in football ke, or badminton ke, or running ke, until you let them try out everything. And then when they're older, baru specialize. So they are more complete of an athlete. If you're too young and then you just focus on one sport, they become very limited, their ability, coordination, agility, semua ni they're not developed.
Flexibility memang
Flexibility
pun
also,
penting.
yes.
Daripada kecil tu you need to, sebab tu macam I ambil experience saya lah. So I bawa my kids running, I bawa diorang skating, I still bawa diorang pergi swimming, and I pergi kat padang, I bawa pergi main bola and everything. So you tak boleh like put just one, kau lari je. You don't develop them for other ni, because skills masa kecil ni yang paling penting untuk develop.
If you don't develop when they are young, when they grow older, they tak boleh. Like you didn't learn to swim when you're younger, and then I ask you to swim when you're 30 years old, so dah
I can
susah.
swim lah, tapi
So you want develop a lot of different kind of skills. They are very complete and robust. They're very tahan, and they build a lot of skill.
budak-budak muda boleh hantar kat RC coaching.
Betul.
Because you belajar semua. Tapi memang betul sebab dalam dekat Majlis Sukan Negara pun dia ada ID talent tau.
Yes.
Ada satu program ni
Yes.
di mana macam atlet tu dia tak boleh pergi jauh dekat sukan tu, diorang akan macam redo sama ID
Correct.
talent balik
Correct.
untuk masuk ke sukan lain.
Exactly.
Sebab dari segi base dia dah power.
Betul.
Jadi dia tinggal nak mengada sukan lain. Biasanya sukan-sukan yang
Macam-
kurang pakai skill.
Macam Christian Blummerfield. Dia baru start triathlon when he's 17 years old. 17 tahun baru dia start triathlon. Before that, he was a swimmer and he was also into football. He wanted to become, I think, a football goalkeeper kot. So not very successful as a football goalkeeper. Dia masuk triathlon and suddenly, wow, within a few years,
Yes.
start to win
Dia
everything.
basically sebab base
Gold
dia.
medalist.
So,
Foundation
macam
dia
kalau
bagus.
tuan RC coaching base confirm A dah. Sebab dah berenang, dah lari, dah basikal. Lepas tu decide nak main sukan apa.
Tapi betul lah, kalau you tengok kan, bila budak-budak masuk triathlon at very young age, you tengok dia punya confident and dia punya percaya kat diri sendiri tu sangat tinggi. Because they have to open water swim. Walaupun 100 meter, 200 meter. For a kid, that's a very big achievement. So you can tahu kat situ.
See? So kepada parents-parents nak anak dia build up confident, boleh try RC coaching.
Sebab my kids pun I bagi main mandi kat laut, I boleh lepas. So I know because I experience with my kids. So macam my son, walaupun dia kalau pergi RC coaching memang kena tinggal lah. Tapi I boleh lepas dia kat kolam. 50 meter tu, I boleh lepas dia. Dia boleh berenang, tak ada berenang, just berenang, menyelam, ambil nafas, masuk balik, enjoy himself. Enjoy dia punya diri sendiri, enjoy kat dalam kolam. I tak letak pressure. Tapi once dia rasa macam, mami, I nak belajar swimming, I teach lah. When he wants to. Ataupun belajar rasa macam, Darwish dah boleh belajar ni. Jomlah kita belajar swimming. Tapi sekarang I lepas je dekat kolam. Dia benang je macam memerang. Pergi sini, pergi sana. Menyelam, ambil nafas, turun bawah. Tapi dia enjoy. And he doesn't have the fear of panic. That's the important thing. Tak ada panic.
So you punya atlet yang paling muda, berapa umur dia kat sana? Dan sekarang you tengah coach?
7 tahun lah.
10 tahun?
7.
7 tahun?
7 tahun.
Seriously,
So
comel.
very small.
kepada mereka yang tengah fikir anak dia tak tahu nak main sukan apa, maybe you can create a good base, hantar ke RC coaching, 7 tahun dah boleh start. You sarankan umur berapa paling sesuai?
Kalau boleh, they start to learn swimming first lah. Kalau bukan kita with anybody, but at least they have a base. So kalau they join us like 11, 12 years old, then we can start to develop specific skills for them. Tapi at least they can swim already by then. Then senang for us to develop. Because swimming is a very young specialty sport. You cannot ask a 20-year-old and then expect them to be as good as a swimmer that started when they were 7 years old. So, whereas biking and running is what we call a later specialty sport. You can be specialized in that even when you are older.
Betul.
That's why you see a lot of runners, they learn to run even they are later, 18 tahun, they can still do very well. But swimming, if you start at 20, you cannot be as good as a swimmer that started swimming at 7 years old.
Sekarang advantage apa at our punya time right now is that we have so many classes. You ada access to a lot of classes. You nak swimming, ada je tempat yang boleh belajar swimming. You nak running, berapa banyak club, berapa banyak coach yang ada. You nak cycling, ada banyak. Kalau duduk KL ni saya rasa bahaya untuk saya. Pagi petang siang malam aku training je. Kau ke training, aku training.
Yelah,
Kau ke training.
pergi petang masuk arena, lepas berenang, turunlah track. Kan?
Ada je group.
Daripada
Tengok.
trap, jumpa Rupert, I pergi rumah you, naik basikal. Settle tiga disiplin.
Lepas tu yang best lah, kalau orang cyclist kan. Hari ni aku nak kayu dengan tim ni. Time ni kurang laju. Aku kayu dengan tim ni laju sikit. Hari ni aku nak pergi laju. Ada select. Tak ada option. Like you have so much option. Either you want or not.
Hari nak main long, pergi dengan open long 4 jam, 5 jam.
Hari ni nak kena tinggal lah. Pergi kayu dengan orbit cycle pula.
Orbit bob lah.
Ada.
Okay, thank you so much Rupert for your time. I really appreciate that. Dan thank you Tahira for coming. Thank you a lot of sharing your experience, your knowledge and share more about the RC coaching. I pun interested lah. Setapak tu confirm arena.
Nearby saja.
Now that is my training ground.
Yelah. Oh, memang pergi sana.
Pasal malam sana ada lampu. That's the only track yang ada lampu malam untuk Kelang Valley, untuk Wasa Maju area lah.
Yes.
Kalau macam kan kat Bangi pun ada, tapi kat Panasonic
Yang tu taman
No, dia memang pusat sukan.
Oh, okay.
Dia memang pusat sukan, masuk je, terus ada swimming pool, belakang tu track. Lepas tu dia ada lampu. Dia best part is tengah-tengah tu padang bola, digunakan untuk padang. Selagi bola tu ada, lampu tu ada. Jadi you lari lah sampai pukul 11 ke 12 pun.
Alright.
So you tak ada masalah dah dari segi masa. Kalau track lain kan pukul 10 tutup. Pukul 11 tutup. Kalau bola tu habis pukul 2 lah you lari. So that is best part. So thank you for your information. Okay.
No worries.
Okay guys, sampai di sini saja untuk episod kali ini. Kita bawakan yang pengalaman dan coach sendiri. So kepada korang, kalau ada apa-apa nak tanya, korang boleh check dekat RC Coaching punya Facebook, RC Coaching punya IG.
IG Tahira
Nisa. RC dulu. Kan, untuk yang mana parents dah excited dengan nak hantar anak 7 tahun dah boleh belajar base untuk berenang, basikal, lari, boleh check dengan RC Coaching, boleh terus DM Rupert juga. Dan macam biasa boleh follow IG Tahira juga. Mak tahu tiba-tiba Tahira dengar cerita sedih kata Tahira nak sponsor juga. Okay, boleh DM juga. Kan.
I perlukan sponsor untuk Iron Man.
Iron Man. So thank you so much guys. Jangan lupa like, share, subscribe kita orang punya YouTube. Dan by the way, thank you so much sebab kita punya podcast akhirnya sampai jugalah 1k subscriber. Jo kata duit dah boleh beli aiskrim Tapi that is not our intention. Sebab memang kita orang start buat podcast pun kita orang tak ada expectation for viewer. Kita ada expectation. Kita memang nak just nak share
for
dan
the
kita
passion.
nak panggil segala-galanya. Sebab my target satu je. Kata sampai one day nanti I boleh panggil menteri and tanya dia soalan-soalan yang kita sebagai rakyat biasa nak tanya. That's the best part.
Tian tu dah boleh panggil KJ dah kan?
Oh tak, sebab KJ dah tak ada menteri dah. Dia ex-menteri. Betul nak panggil. Minta maaf Itu memang betul. Kalau nak panggil someone yang ada authority. Because you want to share. Because you dekat atas, maybe you dengar on the first level of management, but you don't, maybe you tak dengar on the surface, on the ground for the yang kita kat bawah
orang
ni.
rakyat,
So kalau I sampai, that is my target sebenarnya. Kalau siapa-siapa boleh kata nantilah I set dengan Hana yuk, thank you so much. Kan, tapi actually memang itu yang kita nak ni lah.
Kalau Puan Hanayo datang, you gotta drink the Vietnamese coffee. You gotta sit like this.
Kalau sampai tahap menteri pun boleh datang nak dengar apa kita nak tanya ni, for me that is a big achievement lah. Tak payah ada 50,000 subscriber, tak payah ada 1,000 subscriber. For me that is I want, because macam I get involved in sport indirectly because we are doing business with MSN, ISN for more than 10 years. So that's why I know about all the issue, even the class B, class A, class C. I know everything lah. Technically cuma it's not under me and I'm not the one who's supposed to talk, but maybe I can bring someone that can share. Kan? That's why lah I panggil. Macam I tahu you punya issue, you punya training, even you attach dengan MSN berapa lama, all I know. Kan, because semuanya been take care of some of my friends, some of my colleagues semua kan. So thank you so much for your time. So hopefully kalau korang minat, korang suka, ada apa-apa tanya semua, boleh boleh DM, boleh message. Dan thank you so much sebab korang dengar podcast kali ni. Jangan lupa untuk follow IG Tahira dengan RC Coaching. So supaya korang punya tahun ni akan jadi lebih bermakna kalau korang ada coach yang sesuai untuk korang. Okay, see you. Ciao.